Yo, what is up gamers, it's Sebastian coming to a brand new video. Now today is going to be a quick but in-depth breakdown of the entire format from banlist to banlist from May 2022 until September 2022. So if you're looking, if you're 5 years in the future, looking for, what deck should I pick for September 2022 format, this is going to be a very useful guide for you. But I'm just going to basically break down what won each Premier event, goes over, I'm going to show a bunch of pie charts each week of, what was topping, what was, popular decks, and at the end of the video, I'm going to also show you guys, the massive overview of the entire pie chart of the whole format. But let's start with week one, with National Seasons. Banners actually dropped, right before National started, and so we saw Peter Milner win Austrian Nats with Despia, Fernando Manley won Bolivia with Infernoble, Max Toledo won Ecuador with Salamangreat, Matthew Brady at Ireland with Sword Soul, Judo Faddis at Spain with Fluondaries, and Laura Strangberg at Sweden with Sword Soul. So from the beginning of this format, we can already see that White's Despia and Sword Soul anticipated to be the best deck of the format, the decks to beat. Many other decks still have a reasonable chance of seeing results. Then move on to week two. White's Hartford happened. Massive YCS, and it ended up being won by Po Jang with Sky Striker. In other places of the world, we saw more nationals with Sean winning Belgian Nats with Sword Soul, Brian Pacheco in Chile with Phantom Knight, Artur Gron at Finland with Despia, Fernando Padilla at Guatemala with Despia, Alan Woyman in Mexico with Sword Soul, Joshua Hull at Panama with Sword Soul, Jonathan Malega at Peru with Felcherwold, and João Paulo at Portugal with Despia, and Kenan Asfor at Venezuela with Despia. So a lot of Despia, a lot more Despia than Sword Soul, but Sword Soul is still we have one, we have two, these are takes up not majority, but a decent size of the chunk, and then the rest of the decks are just literally put your hand into the hat, take out whatever. But also this week we saw state championships, which are basically just nationals, but specifically Oceania, and they serve essentially the same purpose. So for the rest of this video, when I say Nats, I am also referring to these state championships. But let's start with Melbourne being won by Liam De Bono with Sword Soul, and Sydney being won by Lao Sang, winning with a new take on Salamangreat that implements a microcoder engine that lets him end on Heat Soul, which is a draw 2 basically, with Signet Conflict, a really strong counter trap, and Baguska, which was a really strong card that format. Baguska was insane that format, so was D-Barrier. If you're looking for what sidecards or what text to play, Baguska, D-Barrier were definitely cards that you had to deal with this format. And then week three, I'll try to be quicker because there's a lot of nationals this week. But Argentina was won by Matia Lopez Acevedo with Sword Soul, Brazil by Arthur Edelrein on ABC, Therion, etc. Bulgaria by Alexander on Drytron, Christchurch by James E. on Virtual, Colombia by James Jimenez on Despia, Dominican Republic by Fico Medina on Adventure Dragon Inc., France by Matthew Bricard with 60-card Dragon Pile, Greece by Stefanos Fostieris on Hero, Honduras by Perledecto Korea on Punk Therion, Israel by Shaked Asiag on Tri-Brigade Lawless, Netherlands by Brian Kaiser with Sword Soul, Perth by Harrison Neeshaw on Dragonlink, and Slovenia by Carlos Siketic with Sword Soul. And if I'm mispronouncing any names, I very much apologize. It's not my intention, but I can't even say English words well enough, so I'm definitely gonna get names wrong, and for that I apologize. But on to week 4, we have Croatia, which was won by Ivan Brodrosek with Salamangreat. Denmark was won by John the Hank on Despia. Hungary was won by Sazbel Tamaz on Subterra. Switzerland by Marcel Burry on a new version of Punk Adventure that used Eldritch cards, which solved a massive issue Punk Adventure had of not being able to really play out turn 3 if their board got broken. Right, so now the Eldritch cards were being used to give them a grind, but it wasn't that easy since the Eldritch cards very much took away from the consistency, because you weren't seeing your 2 power spells that you always wanted to open, because you were playing more cards naturally. But week 5, we saw the first Continental Championship of the season. These are ultimately what every event hosted in the TCG leads up to and are the season finale of Yu-Gi-Oh! Events. In a normal year that wasn't impacted by COVID, these will be what leads you to Worlds. So this is literally what everyone is preparing for. These are the most important events in the TCG, the ultimate test of skill, where you can expect only the strongest decks to win out. It was won by Fluanderies, piloted by Elaine Munoz at the Central American Championship. And just as a side note, nothing against the guy, I just really don't like Fluanderies. But in terms of nationals, therefore huge nationals were happening, as this was the last week of nationals, with Germany being won by Daniel Hartmann on Punk Furion, Italy being won by Diego Gonzalez on Fluanderies, UK being won by Nick Burgess on Drytron, and then there was also a North Island State Championship, which was won by David Crystal on Despia. These 4 events were the last nationals that were won this season, so let's skip weeks onto Continental Championships, because there's no regionals at this stage, because, well, you get an infight too. Like, these are the championships of what the regionals are for, so there's no regionals, no more regionals until after the championships. So 1 week later, the South American Championship was won by Hernan Bravo on Branded L. Lich. Then 3 weeks after that, Hansel Aguero won the North American Championship with Sword Soul. Now, the European Championship and the Oceanic Championship won't happen for a while. European Championship happening 5 weeks after that. However, we should first take a look at 2 weeks before Euros, since something very important happened. On August 4th, 2022, the most impactful set since Duelist Alliance was dropped, known as Power of the Elements. This set introduced Sprite and Tiltment, which would both become incredibly powerful strategies. For 2 weeks before Euros, there would be a wide variety of regionals to attest to the absolute power creep introduced in this set. I'm not going to read out every regional and what one, but here are just 2 pie charts to show you sort of this already how strong and powerful Sprite and Tiltment would be. But now, on week 14 of the format, 14 weeks since the last ban list, the European Championship finally happens. Everyone is ready for a Sprite sweep, but would it be pure Sprite, Sprite Adventure, Sprite Punk, maybe Sprite Twin or Sprite Tri-Brigade? Here comes Tiltment. Many people knew Tiltment would be a good deck in the lead up to Euros, but no one had cracked the code yet, which in turn gave it bad representation in the regionals the weeks before. With the introduction of Danger Tiltment into the format by getting popularized by several players at Euros such as Theo Mundry, Herman Hansen and many others, we see now a new favourite to win Euros, a new favourite to become the best deck of the format, and in the end, with Sprite and Tiltment both being very dominant decks, the winner of the 2022 European Championship was neither of these decks. The event was won by Marcus Patel, who was playing Ricker. Although if you look at the top 128 split, which Euros was top cut of 128, that's a lot of people. It was a massive event, like 2,000 plus players. But at least 76.6% of top cut was either Sprite or Tiltment. No one, except literally maybe only Nerd Factor, could try to even argue that either of these decks were not the clear-cut best decks of the format by a large margin. And so with the next week, we had another premier event. The innovation at Euros of playing Mystic Mine shook everyone to the core, so much to the point where we saw a brand new version of Tiltment Danger, as well as different tech cards being played in Sprite to counteract this issue. Mystic Mine surely is no longer an issue, and either Sprite or Tiltment will take the win at YSS Rio. And so what ended up happening? In the finals, the winner was neither of those decks. It was won by Jao Lima on Pure Mystic Mine. Okay, but the next week was Oceania Championship. Surely now, after Mystic Mine was proven to be a card you had to actually take seriously at Euros, and once again at YSS Rio, surely that card won't come back and steal the win from Sprite and Tiltment this time. Oh wait, a new set? Tactical Masters was released the week before but wasn't legal at YSS Rio, meaning this is the first premier event with Tactical Masters out. And with that came the Runic deck, which pure Runic synergized very well with Mystic Mine. Or you could also play Runic Sprite, which is what ended up being another popular way to play Runic. But so, what does end up winning this event? What does end up winning Oceania? Pure Tiltment actually took the event and was able to finally get a premier event win. Well done to Dino Spasowski. I butchered that name, I'm sorry, but he beat Bowden Temnik in finals, who was on Danger Tournament. The meta had been restored and we are now finally on the right track. Gone are the days of beat Cop on Mystic Mine, which we saw Joshua Schmidt do to Herman Hansen at Euros. That was no longer a concern. Gone was the days of using Ojama, Trio, and Rivalry and Mystic Mine to lock your opponent like at Rio. Now we are back to a healthy format where Tearlament and Sprite are just playing against each other. No nonsense cards are being used. It's more fair and it's actually back and forth. And so on to week 17 at Risas Niagara. We see Tearlament take a win, but will Sprite finally get a win themselves? Or will Tearlament win another Premier event? And so we end up seeing the winner of this event was actually Wayman Dye. He was using Exorcister. At times like these, it does make me think maybe Nerd Factor was actually right all along. But that's it for the Premier events that happened this format so far. There's nothing left apart from weeks of regionals, like 3 weeks of regionals. There's been 2 weeks of regionals so far. There's one more weekend of regionals happened this weekend as of when this video comes out. But I figure this video just makes more sense to be posted now rather than in a week, because no one actually takes like the last regionals of a ban list seriously anyway. So I figured this video makes sense to come out now. And so if you enjoyed this, be sure to leave a like. All the information I've used in this video will be in the description below. And, you know, just let everyone know. Let everyone see this video. Be sure to comment, like the video, share it with every group chat you're in. To any Konami employees out there, please let me comment advice. Yes, you don't know how much I want to. I'm being serious. With that, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you gamers later. Goodbye.